I think I'm on mute. I'm going to say that again. Manchester United won, Southampton nil, 3 points, big win, interesting performance. Got a lot to talk about here on the Wavy Baller Hub. If it's your first time watching, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for me. Got a great guest with me today. We're going to break down this game, do some player ratings, talk about the tactics a little bit, and have some fun, man. I'm happy that we're finally doing match reactions that involve winning and not sorrow and misery like most of them do, or most of them have recently, I should say. But yeah, no, let's get right into it. I'm going to bring my guy James in. James, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. It's impossible not to be good after
I
after a
know.
win. Like you said, we don't get many anymore, so I cherish.
Did I lose you, James? I think I lost you for a second.
Them.
What'd you say? I
I
think I
was
lost
just
you for a
just
second.
saying, it's nice to enjoy United win. We don't get many anymore, so you got to make the most of
Yeah.
it.
No, 100%. It's a great feeling. Very, very good feeling. Interesting performance. I think a it was a very cagey game if there's any other way to put it. But honestly, the clean sheet is probably the best part about the performance. Like it's been very difficult for us to get clean sheets in this calendar year. Let's just use that as an example. Like I can't remember too many clean sheets we kept this year. Um, the back four looked strong in my opinion. You know, a lot of stuff got thrown at them. I think and we'll talk about that here in a second, but I think the back four handled it really well. And yeah, I'll just ask you first of all, if what did you think about? Let's start with just the first half, how we kind of grew into the game. I thought we started well, and then it kind of got weird.
Yeah, like you said, I think the first half was definitely better than the second half. Put it that way, but I thought we were better than I thought we were going to be because Southampton are a good team. You've seen they've recruited really well.
Yeah.
Gelled really quickly as well. They seem to be a team that will cause a lot of problems this season. So,
Mm,
we went toe to toe with them. Probably edged them the first half, I'd say. Maybe that's a little bit biased, but that one, the exact 10-second period I'm talking about. I think everyone
yeah.
does that watch the game where we probably should have gone into the break 1-0 up.
Yeah.
I think the chances Southampton had weren't the best, other than the one from the corner where he blazed it over.
Yeah.
I think we were restricting them to pretty poor quality chances, which was good. And I think we did that throughout the game, really. There
Right.
weren't many that you can name off the top of your head where you thought Southampton really should have scored there. So I think that was a big positive. But yeah, I think Eriksen's first 45 minutes was really good.
Mm,
I actually think the front three did all right first half. Rashford maybe not so much. I didn't really see too much of him, but I think Elanga worked
yeah.
to his limitations well. I think playing out on that right suited
Yeah.
him a bit more because everyone can see what he's good at and what he isn't. And I think we'll talk about it more, but the right got a bit more out of him than I think maybe the left does. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, defensively immense, and I was
Yeah.
happy with it.
Yeah. No. Couldn't agree with you more there. I think there's obviously a lot of things that we can't do, or Ten Hag can't really. I think he tactically wants to do some things, and he really can't. Obviously, De Gea is not good with his feet, so we're knocking it long and trying to win the ball back. On that second ball or whatever when it drops on the floor. Um, the midfield. Yes, I thought Ericsson, like you mentioned, really good, but he's probably better higher up the pitch. Still, in my opinion, he got higher up the pitch, but that's where Casemiro comes in, and we can hopefully see more of him coming forward in the next couple of games. But yeah, no, I agree. The first half was good. I was just frustrated with the forwards. You may be a bit kind on them, right? Sancho, I felt he was very isolated, um, very very isolated. Malacia wasn't really helping him offensively in any way, um, and the other two, just Rashford is not a center forward, as we well know, right? He just can't hold the ball up, and to me that's a baseline requirement for a striker. Holding the ball, winning foul. Like Shea Adams, if you look at Shea Adams today, like he didn't score, but he won a lot of fouls. He held the ball up well. There's times where he has two defenders on him, and he's just making it difficult. And Rashford just can't do that up top. I'm not saying Shea Adams is better than Rashford, but it's just that center forward position. We really missed the focal point, and I think that hurt us the whole game, literally the whole game. And then in the second half, like you mentioned, or in the second half, we had a very strange. I think it was we had that flashpoint moment where we scored the goal, right? And it was a great build up, and we'll talk about that here. A great build up. I thought Elanga started it off right, played ball into feet of, was it Erickson? I can't remember who he played. I can't remember who he played the ball to, but somebody laid it out wide to Dallo, right? It might have been, yeah, it might have been Erickson. I can't remember, but somebody laid it out wide to Dallo. Dallo puts in a beautiful ball to Bruno, scores the goal, right? And it was a great finish, by the way. I want to give Bruno his flowers. That was not an easy finish by any means, but then after that, or other than that, nothing happened in that second half. It was poor. It was really, really poor. What were your thoughts on, just how we played? I was a bit underwhelmed, or very underwhelmed, I should say.
Yeah, second half it wasn't as good. I think it's interesting you mentioned Bruno. I think he's done what he did those first couple of seasons where he didn't actually play very well at all, but he got the goal that
Right.
wins the games, and
Exactly.
the last year or so he's been playing poorly and not getting the goals that win us games.
Yep.
So I think that's where the real frustration comes.
Right.
So it was one of those games you don't want to overlook how poorly Bruno actually played, but that goal was a big sweetener, and he won us the game
Yeah.
realistically. So
Yeah.
I can't say too much about him negatively that we wouldn't usually say.
Right.
But yeah, second half, especially with the situation United are in, you go a goal up at St Mary's, a place which isn't easy to win. Actually, I think it has been recently, but that's besides the point. They're a good team.
Right.
United have been awful to start the season. I think it was probably sensible to just try and grind out this win.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
as we saw against Liverpool. It's as we saw in that season we finished second. I think the plan was draw them onto us now. They need a goal, let them come to us, keep the quick players on the pitch, barring when he brought Ronaldo on, and
Right.
try and counter on them if we can. And we did get a couple of counter opportunities, but it was always that final pass that was lacking and
It's just lacking.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I think
No.
if we'd have executed it properly, we maybe could have finished that game 2 or 3-0. But as I said, those final few balls we're missing every time. But yeah,
Mm.
not bad. I think again, I'll sort of make the point of look at this, just the turn of the new year last season. How many
Right.
games would we go up against Southampton actually at home as well? We'd go 1-0 up and we'd concede
Just
and
lose
draw the
it.
game 1-1. We had a
Right.
ridiculous amount of 1-1s last season, and I think
Yeah.
it's a good sign of how we've progressed, particularly defensively.
Yeah.
That we were actually managed to grind out that win. So I think that's the major positive I've taken from that. We're already seeing a little bit of progression under Ten Hag in that sense.
Yeah, that's why I'm, even though the performance like we've been talking about is underwhelming, and if we're basing it in reality, it was but we weren't doing that. That's a mentality thing to me. That's deeper than football to me. It's there's a want to get a clean sheet. Like I never like, and it feels weird to say, but like you have to really want to get a clean sheet. Like you have to like, it has to be all members of the back four plus the midfielders. There has to be a want to keep the ball out of the net. And I think that's why we won this game. Simply, like if we hung our heads when things got awkward in the box, and even when there were mistakes made, there were still high-fiving, clapping, like, come on, let's, Lissandro, man, just he's a very good player. Like he's a very, very good player. I think, and it's outside of the football, his aggression kind of rubs off on the players around him, putting in big tackles. Yeah, it's just impressive. And I think that's the major thing I'm taking away from this match is we got over a big hurdle. Because if we draw this game, it kind of just feels like, yeah, the Liverpool result just kind of feels like a downer, right? It just kind of feels like a downer. It feels like it was a fluke. Mind you, Southampton, they played well, but they're young. Like they're playing 20-year-olds, 18, like 20-year-old in goal, an 18-year-old in the heart of midfield, another
20-year-old at the back,
a
yeah.
20-year-old at the back. It's Elise who's 23. Like that's a really young side, and we should, in reality, be beating them. If we just talk about man for man, but it hasn't been that simple. And yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting one. Do you think that? I was surprised Ten Hag didn't make subs earlier and more, to be quite honest with you. I'm gonna ask you, and this is kind of off base here, but like I thought that game was calling out for like a Van de Beek, right? Just to kind of somebody to latch onto the ball and just keep it, keep the ball ticking. Like I think our biggest challenge in that second half was we didn't have that outside of Ericsson, right? We just don't have that player. Were you shocked with Ten Hag's game management is, I guess I'll use that word. How did you feel about his game management today?
I think the only negative I can put on it is that maybe a Casemiro didn't come on earlier, or a bit of a more solidly defensive player. I think he left McTominay and Eriksen on their own a little bit too long, but
Mm-hmm.
we got through it. I think to the Van der Beek point, I think he probably would have been good, but I can sort of see where Ten Hag's coming from in that we had that ball retainer in Eriksen in there, and he was still
Right.
struggling because of how relentless Southampton are with their pressing. And
Right.
we've seen time and time again that Donny isn't actually that press resistant. He's wonderful on the ball when he's got a little bit of space. He's great at finding that space as well.
Right.
But
Right.
against a team like Southampton, who are even more motivated than normal to try and get that goal to
Mm.
equalise the game, I just think it would have been risky in
Right.
that he's
Yeah.
fantastic at getting the ball and distributing it and everything. But we have seen, and I think it goes against him in English football that he isn't as press resistive as we probably like him to be. I think he definitely prefers playing with more space.
Mm.
And so that for that reason, I can sort of see why Ten Hag made that decision in specific.
Yeah, no. So I think that for me, I was more so thinking like take off like a Rashford, right? Like not necessarily putting him in midfield, but just adding a body into midfield, right? Because I think when we took off who did we take off Alanga? We took off Alanga for Casemiro, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Um
Yeah, I think
I
it was.
thought
Yeah,
I thought we got just a bit more. I felt safer, right? I felt like we had a bit more steel. Um and how do I word this? How do I word this? Like we really lack those ball progressors or those people who can, just kind of take the air out of the ball sometimes. And I think Van de Beek could have provided that. But that being said, we made 3 subs, and I think all 3 subs worked to an extent. Even Ronaldo, like he was winning balls in the air. Like I think if we just want to just be frank, like I think that was the biggest thing I took away from Ronaldo's, introduction was that he was just active in the air. We have a comment here. Afternoon, boys. Great to be talking about a win. Lots of issues to be fixed, but we're starting to look defensively sound and the necessary starting point of the rebuild. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Stuart. I think Ten Hag noticed very quickly that Maguire is probably not the best fit for the way he wants his defenders to defend. Like you see Lissandro kind of stepping off his line quite a bit. Something that if Maguire does, you know, you have Varana's recovery pace, but even just Maguire getting back into position is a challenge for him sometimes. So I think that
I,
he recognized that.
I think. Sorry to put in, but I think this whole Maguire Martinez thing goes back to that. As you mentioned, that want to keep a clean sheet, that desperation to get yourself in front of the ball.
Right.
If you sort of take your mind back to that season, we finished second, and you remember that game in specific, Aston Villa at home, where Bailly threw himself in front of a shot in the
Yeah.
last minute, and
Right.
it just seemed to galvanise the whole squad at full time. And I
Right.
think
Yep.
having that aggressor in defence like Martinez,
Yeah.
everyone's looking at him. He's pounding his fists at the end of the Liverpool game. He's crashing into tackles in the first minute. It sort
Right.
of gets you. It has an
Excited.
effect on players. Yeah,
Yeah.
people want that. His teammates are going to want to match that level, and I don't think you get that with Maguire. I think one of his good attributes is he's very regularly calm and collected, but
Mhm.
that's great for him. But when you're desperate for clean sheets, when you're hanging on by a thread, you don't want someone who's calm and collected. You want someone who's going to, get in their faces, get your
Yeah.
teammates around them as well. And you'll have seen it if you play it yourself. If you've got someone next to you who's going absolutely mental, real aggression, passion, you're going to get caught up in that. You're going to raise your game as well. So I think
Mhm.
that there's so much negativity around Martinez from people who don't watch United, who just like to follow what's being said on Twitter. But not only have we seen today that he is an incredible defender, but
Yeah.
he's such an incredible presence to have on the pitch as well. And I think he is already rubbing off on the United players.
Yeah. 100%. I think the media wanted so badly to just kill this guy so quickly. Carragher said he can't play in the Premier League. Just absolutely laughable comment. Maguire and Shaw's finito. I think that's hilarious. We'll talk about both of those. We'll talk about Shaw here in a second when we do these player ratings. But yeah, no, again, on Maguire, it's a big one because again, I've never rated Maguire. I've never ever rated Harry Maguire from 2 months into his United career. I think in a back three, and this is me, right? I think in a back three, right? For example, when he plays for England, when he has more options around him, he has two people helping him. He can be in the heart of defense and pick passes, and it's a slower game. It's a more pragmatic game. There's a value add to him, right? He is a value add to a squad like that. Like if he goes to Chelsea, I think he'd help Chelsea. No jokes. Like I think he would actually help Chelsea. He could play in the middle of defense. You have Koulibaly and Thiago Silva next to him. Like that's a great defense in my opinion. But like in a team that's trying to be truly progressive, I don't think he's a fit. I genuinely don't think he's a fit. But no, interesting. We'll get into these player ratings now. Really quickly. We'll start with De Gea. I'll let you start on this one. And you can use point fives, by the way.
I'll give him a 6 because I'll justify this because I'm not De Gea's biggest fan. I think you know full respect to him. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic keeper, but he has his limitations, and I think they showed again today. He was a bit better towards the end of the game at coming out and claiming crosses and everything, but you know, with 30 seconds in and there was a ball over the top which he could have just walked out and collected, and he left it, and it put us under a bit of pressure. And there was a couple of those incidents as well where you could see Southampton were targeting. But on the other hand, he did what he does well. He did very well again today. We saw that save from the header from Che Adams. There's a couple of other decent saves in there as well. So, I mean, listen, he got a clean sheet. I can't fault him at all.
Right.
I'm probably being a bit harsh. I'll give him a 7.
No, it's not. Stick to your gun. You can use 0.5. You can use 0.5.
All right, we'll meet in the middle of 6.5 because 6 is probably a bit harsh, and I don't want to come into these ratings with any sort of agenda. But
no, 6 is above average, right? Now I don't think 6 is a bad score.
Yeah. But I think he really displayed his strengths, but he also a few of his weaknesses crept in again. So you know. It's a clean sheet at the end of the day. Well done to her. I'm very, very happy for him.
It's just funny, man. We have a 7 from Drizzy Dez. Stewart says 7. Looked assured. A couple of good saves. Ugly Bear, what's good, my friend? I was gonna give him a 6.5 to be quite honest with you. I thought he made a couple really good saves. Right, the save from Aribo, great reaction save. There was a nice little punch he made that relieved some pressure. He started a build up. There was the Alenga chance that started from build up from De Gea, so that I'll give him a little point for that too. Like you mentioned, we have to knock it long, right? We can't play like we have Ederson in goal or whatever the case may be. But I thought he was fine today. He was better he was better on Monday, no question about it, in my opinion. And I can't remember what I get. I think maybe gave him an 8 on Monday, but yeah, I think a 6.5 is a fair score. Right back, Diogo Dalot. I'm gonna give Dalot a. This one's tough. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. I think that, and maybe I'm being kind. Honestly, I want to give him I'm gonna give him a 6. I think that his frailty shows sometimes. Mind you, the cross. I lied. I'm giving him a 6.5 because of the cross, because of the assist from Bruno. That was really good build up. But defensively, Armstrong was kind of getting the better of him. Gineppo was kind of making him a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of stuff came from that side, that right-hand side via crosses. So I'll give him a 6.5. Not his biggest fan, but I don't dislike him in any way, but I didn't think he did anything outside of the assist that was really, really did anything for me, honestly.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I think I was going to go 6.5 anyway, but I think that automatically would have been higher if Sancho would have been on the right. So, he got. I liked how much, especially when Malacia sort of didn't get up as much on the other side. You really noticed how much Dalot was getting himself up there, getting involved when we were on top. Right. And I think with Sancho on that wing, he automatically plays a lot better because he's got someone to combine with this that, and the other. But yeah, like you, he was the assist was great. He had a few good moments, but other than that, he was just sort of there, wasn't he? He didn't really take your breath away. I think, like you said, his frailties were shown. He's not a great defender.
Yeah.
He's still got some way to go to become a good attacking fullback as well. But for his limitations, I say it was an all right game. So 6.5.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Guys, drop your thoughts on Diogo Dallo. What would you give him out of 10 in the comments? Ugly Bear, we'll talk about I'll come back to this comment. We'll talk about Bruno here in a second. Next to Dallo was Rafael Varane. What would you give him?
I'd give him a 7.5. I think
Mm,
he did very well what he did at Madrid in terms of just going completely unnoticed, but being such a key player. Without Varane in there today, we don't win. He was
100%.
very, very composed, more composed than he usually is on the ball.
Mm,
Very composed defensively. I'm fluttering between a 7 and a 7.5, but I'll stick with a 7.
right.
I think, yeah, it's amazing to me how quickly him and Martinez are adapting to each other as well.
Mm,
And yeah, I just think he won't get the credit he probably deserves because he wasn't making these outlandish challenges that Martinez was. He wasn't,
right,
pumping his
right,
fists.
right.
He offers that. He offers that coolness that
Yeah,
if you put him and Maguire in a team, they're both you almost become too relaxed. I think that was the
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
He provides balance to Martinez and
right.
phenomenal game. There's a number of recoveries he did as well where Southampton could have created a really good chance, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
still got that pace despite his injury problems and stuff like this. So really
yeah,
impressed with him, but not one who's going to stand out to
right.
the naked eye.
Right. I would give him a 7 as well. I thought he had a very good performance. Very quiet. He's kind of a quiet figure in general, right? You kind of do need, like you mentioned, you do need a Martinez figure in there, right next to him, like a Ramos, just a bully, right? Kind of next to him to, right, like you mentioned, he's not great on the ball, but he's not bad on the ball by any means. I think he just can't play that pass that Martinez can, that direct ball into midfield. He doesn't play that pass, right? But again, won a lot of balls in the air. I thought there was a bunch of things he did that he killed fires before before you even lit the match, right? Drizzy says 7 for doing everything right. I don't rate James and Temi player ratings at all. What do you mean? 7's a good score. 7's a good score. What room do I leave? It's a 1-0, right? I don't think we were. I don't think. How do I put it like this? He didn't have enough opportunities to have a crazy amazing game or anything like that. If that makes sense, I think 7's fair. I think 7's fair. But yeah, no. Again, Varane, very good game. Very tidy, very composed. Can't ask for too much more. Drizzy Des says we need 8. Okay, respect. Lissandro Martinez. Well, I'm gonna give him a solid 8. I'm gonna give him a solid 8. Excellent performance. The only thing I can remember that was a mistake on his end was I think he didn't sense Shea Adams on one play. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about. He didn't really sense danger from one moment. But other than that, I thought Martinez was he was excellent. Winning balls in the air. I want to say that again because people keep on saying, "Oh, he's small." Like the commentators on my end, I think NBC Sports or was it USA Today? It was USA Network. Like the first 3 minutes, oh, Southampton are trying to play that ball to watch out for that ball to on Martinez. I'm like, please stop this. Like this narrative is so played out. But excellent performance from him, and he's probably my man of the match if I'm being honest with you. So I'm gonna give him an 8.
Yeah, I'd agree with you with the man of the match. I'd probably go 8.5.
Mm,
I think purely because he was forced to do more. I think, like you said, Southampton did target him, and I don't know why.
mm,
Premier League teams aren't cluing up to the fact that he's not a weakness. You can't just keep playing off him because this is 2
right,
games in a row now where teams have tried to bully him, and he's
right.
just stood firm. He's bossed them really. So it's already looking like one of the best, well, probably the best Argentinian we've ever had at United. I know there's not
Yeah.
much competition there, but
Varane and Rojo.
yeah, but yeah, he's sort of the opposite of what I said about Varane. He's very loud about his game. He makes the big challenges that you notice.
Yeah.
Um, as I said, that mental impact that he brings as well. And the only downside I have on him so far, he just seems a little bit rash to me. I always worry when he goes in for a challenge in the penalty area.
Yeah,
Ever since
he is rash. He is
I
rash,
think
but
there's a couple of times where he probably goes into challenges that he shouldn't. But that'll come. It's a completely different league. It's a completely different
mhm.
sense of judgment. But the early signs are that believe it or not, Ten Hag does know how good players are, and he signed a
Yeah,
very good one here.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just hilarious. Like Ten Hag's worked with him for what 2-3 years at Ajax, and you think he's gonna beg the board to sign him for 55 million pounds if he wasn't half decent, right? And he fits the profile that left-footed profile. There's a couple of times I was just watching the game thinking like, if this was Maguire or Varane even on that left-hand side, it was never Varane though, but right. It's just uncomfortable because he has to cut like he doesn't want to play that little in-swinging ball to the fullback or the in-swinging ball right into midfield. Like it's just, oh yeah, yeah, Tevez. I was thinking Tevez, I was thinking Heinze too, Gabriel Heinze. Hashtag idiot commentators, Lord. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they were very goofy. I can't lie. But yeah, no, it's probably Tevez. Like it's probably Tevez right now. Because he was ridiculous. But no, yeah, Martinez, man of the match for both of us. He's Stewart's man of the match. Let's go to Malacia. What would you give him today? It was a interesting performance, I'd say.
I think I'll give him a 6, the same as Delo,
Mm,
because he was sort of the reverse of Delo. I thought defensively he's remarkable,
mm.
um, but I don't think he has that same limitation as Wan-Bissaka, where he's very heavily defensive. I think we saw
Yeah,
at Feyenoord he can go forward. I think you see when he's on the ball, that sort of relates to him going forward as well. He still seems a bit within himself, whether that's just
yeah,
you know adapting to the Premier League, just playing it safe to get started with, which is
yeah,
sort of understandable. Plenty more to come attacking wise, which is why I've only given him a 6. But defensively, I think there was only a few challenges that he didn't make. Obviously, there was the mistake in the first half as well, where he passed it to their striker.
you're right.
Um, but I think a bit like Delo, he wasn't doing anywhere near enough for me going forward, but he redeemed himself going back. So that's why I'll give him a 6, sort of above average.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6 as well. Drizzy that says 6. Oh my days. Drizzy, what do you want from a 6 is a good 6 is above average. 6 is above average. You can give him a 6.5. You can give him a 6.5. He says, I can't watch this anymore. God bless you, my friend. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, 6. Like what did he do that? I mean, he defended well. I think he defended solidly. I think there was moments where he was a bit shaky. I thought he was getting bullied at times, to be quite frank with you. That long ball over the top that they were playing, it wasn't for Martinez. It was for Malacia, right? Like anytime Shea Adams was getting the better of him. Anytime he could put his back towards Malacia or who was on that left hand side or on the right for Southampton, they were getting the better of him physically, right? That's what I noticed today. Especially in the first half. I thought they were physically getting the better of him. He was definitely better in the second half, in my opinion. Um, once I didn't like you mentioned, he is playing it safe right now. Once he gets the confidence to start linking with Rashford, maybe, or whoever ends up on that, or Sancho, if Sancho stays on the left hand side, I think the reason he's on that left hand side is because he's preparing for this major Anthony bid to happen and to get that ready. But yeah, no, it's going to be a completely different ball game. Stewart says Malacia 6.5. Thought he wasn't just as good as the last game. The last game he was wonderful. Like he was absolutely one. I can't remember what I think I gave him an 8 or something the last game. My guy Hammond says, no, I know I'm late, but not terrible win. Could have been better, but I'll take the 3 points and clean. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Next person on the list, guys, get your thoughts on what would you guys give Tyrell Malacia? Me and James both gave Malacia 6. Next up, I'll go Scott McTominay. I'm gonna give him a 5. A 5. I'm gonna be real with you. My biggest issue with him is he just disappears. No, seriously, like he actually disappears in games. I've never seen any player who I forget he's on the pitch. I just forget he's on the pitch. He wasn't bad by any, he wasn't bad. He just wasn't there, right? He just wasn't there. And especially in that first half, I think second half it got a bit better. I noticed him a bit more just in terms of his defensive presence. But boy, oh boy, I can't wait for Casemiro to replace him. Like, forgive me, James. Like, it's not even that I had I don't dislike McTominay because I think there are attributes that he in games that are helpful, like honestly his size. He won a lot of headers in the box today. Um, you know, I think that his physical presence is a value add to the squad, but on the ball, it's just he just doesn't exist to me. So I'm sorry, I have to give him a 5. Drizzy Des said -3. Absolutely hilarious. Tunga Niaranda, sorry if I said that wrong. Scott had a good 5, and at this point, you can't ask for more. 100%. What would you give him, James?
I say a 4. I think you've been a little bit kind to him.
Yeah, I'm being kind. I'm being kind. Yeah,
I'll sort of echo what you said in that he went missing, especially when we were playing the better football. He was
yeah,
nowhere to be seen, and that's what you come to expect from Scott now.
yeah,
Doesn't want the ball. When he gets the ball, his first instinct is to turn around and play it backwards or lay it off to the fullback. And especially in the second half when you're trying to counter, if you ever try and get a counter attack going through him, it's like you don't know what to do. The concept of passing it forward, making a progressive pass, is just
right.
completely alien to him. I think in our
Yeah,
box he was good, other than when he started doing sort of basketball tricks in our own penalty area. I
right.
don't know how that wasn't a penalty, but we'll take
Oh
it.
my God. Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah, that was crazy. Honestly, he touched the ball like 3 times. How was that not a penalty? If it was and this is how I always do the penalty thing. How would I feel if that was me? If that was my team that happened to, how would I feel? And I would have been, if I'm a Southampton fan, I'm confused. I'm genuinely confused. But yeah, no, go. I'll let you continue. I'll let you continue.
I think the thing he showed today is he's all right in both boxes for a midfielder. He was good defensively, like you said, in the air. Got a few decent blocks in, and we saw what he enjoys doing best, which is making that late run. We saw when he got played in behind. Wasn't a great finish, but it's something that if we have to play him, we should perhaps utilise more. So I think that is a positive. But that's sort of where the positives stop. I think especially in the first half, he forgot he was playing. The commentators had mentioned his name, or the camera had panned to him, and you'd sort of be in
Right.
shock that he'd been on the pitch. So,
Yes.
I do think there's a natural transition there between him and Casemiro.
Yeah.
Scott's biggest ability is his size, which Casemiro can cover,
Right.
and so much more. So there is that
Right.
natural progression. But yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing. I hope this is wishful thinking, but I don't think we'll be seeing Scott too much more now that
Yeah.
Casemiro's here.
100%. I think I said this. I've said this on almost every stream this season. McFred must be abolished. We're almost done. The Mick is out the way soon here. So, yeah, no. Let's get into these comments. So with who we got in the squad, Casemiro and Ericsson pivot, or with Fred, it's probably going to be Ericsson, right? Let's be real about it. Like,
I think you rotate Ericsson and Fred around.
yeah,
Fred plays well with Casemiro at Brazil, and Ericsson. There's no way you can risk playing Ericsson every game of the season. So
right,
I
right,
think those two have to rotate.
yeah, and it's going to be 100%. I think that Fred is not the ball progressor we need. Obviously, that's why we're so. You can just this game just highlighted why we need a Frankie De Jong type of player, because Ericsson obviously can do that job, but you're almost stripping away his greatest attribute, which is that that part, that part of the pitch right past the halfway line, right, where he's looking forward and he's looking to pick passes to the wide players, pick passes, long balls over the top. Also, Scott's best bits today was when he dropped back into center back when we're on defense. 100%. That's literally his best attribute, like being a center back. I was gonna give him a 5.5 before James reminded me of the triple handball. 5, yeah. If McTominay was raved about by the media, like say a Declan Rice, fans will like him. No, absolutely. McTominay is nowhere near the player.
Declan Rice is raved about because he's a good player.
Yeah,
the media don't just rave about bad players. That's why
yeah.
Declan Rice. That's why McTominay's not raved about like Declan Rice, because he's half the player.
Yeah, they do kind of were raving about Maguire for a while there, but I'll let that one slide. But but yeah, no, like Declan Rice is just exponentially a better player than him. It's not even close. Like okay, let's think about it like this. Thomas Souček, right? If Thomas Souček signed for Manchester United, he'd be playing for us right now. Like let that sink in. Let that sink in. That's how mediocre, in my opinion, Fred and McTominay are. And mind you, I'm not disrespecting Thomas Suchek, very good player, but if is Thomas Suchek going to win us a league? That's how far behind we are in midfield, right? That's how far we are behind in midfield. Like McTominay, Fred, it's just not good enough, which is why we need to we desperately need another midfield. Like, imagine if Rabiot came in now. I wouldn't be that mad. Obviously, it's not happening, right? It's not going to happen, but okay, Casemiro's there now. Okay, bring in Rabiot. Now you can rotate Rabiot, you can rotate Eriksen, you can rotate Fred. That sounds a lot better than McTominay, Fred, Eriksen, right? Like, anyway, let's not belabor the point. If McTom wasn't terrible, the media would love him 100%. 100%. That just clicked even more. Christian Eriksen, I am going to give. No. You start this one. What would you give him?
I'll give him a 6.5. That's probably sounds a little bit harsh. I understand that, but I think it was a game of two halves for him. First half, I thought he was really good. Probably one of our best players in the first half. Didn't necessarily impact the game in a goal involvements way, but kept us ticking over. There was a lot of balls into the box, which if a proper striker was on the end of them, he probably would have got himself a couple of assists.
Yeah.
And that's what you bring Eriksen to do. You know, he sat deep, got forward when he needed to, and just kept us ticking over. So first half was probably an 8, but the second half, the game just passed him by. I think we've seen it a couple of times. He seems to run out of legs by about the hour mark. We saw it against there. I'm not sure how he survived 80 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't offer too much defensively. I think when United are on the back foot as well, he didn't seem too comfortable with sort of launching the ball and accurately towards the forwards. Obviously, that goes against the forwards as well. It's not Eriksen's fault entirely,
Right.
but I just think it was a massive drop off in performance in the second half, which is why I'm going 6.5, and which is why I'm probably being a little bit harsh on him. But that first half is exactly why we signed Christian Eriksen.
Yeah. I'll give him a 7, just only because I thought that first half performance was really, 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 really good. I think he was involved. Was he the one involved in that build-up goal? Who passed the ball out to Dallo? That's what I want to remember. I can't remember who did that.
I was writing when the replays were showing, so I can't tell.
Yeah. I can't remember, guys. Who somebody help me figure out who passed the ball to Dallo before the assist. Somebody help me figure that out.
Eriksen's the one that played the ball into Elanga for Sancho's goal at Liverpool as well, isn't he? So it's what he's been doing.
Yeah, so 100%. I just think that without him in midfield, it would have been scary hours. Like if it was Fred and McTominay today, oh boy, it would have been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. Gotta give him a. Oh, with Sancho? Okay, thank you. I was getting that mixed up. But yeah, no. I think his first half performance, again, he didn't defend poorly in my opinion. Right? I don't think he could have had an easy goal too, mind you. There was amazing defending by Southampton. Remember the first half where he that it was just a melee essentially. And I'm gonna give him a 7. I'm flipping between a 6.5 and a 7, but just to be different, I'll give him a 7. I think he was good. Next up, Bruno Fernandes. Boy, oh boy, I'm gonna give him a 6.5. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. I know he scored the goal, and it was, mind you, I want to emphasize it was a great finish, right? That flashpoint moment. But if we strip away everything else, if we strip away that goal, he's probably getting a 5.5 from me. So I'm giving him a point for his goal, which is a lot, by the way. I'm going to give him a 6.5. I thought, again, just decision making is not his best attribute. There was a breakaway in the first half that really frustrated me. Really frustrated me. Really frustrated me. I can't remember. I think he tried to get the ball to Sancho instead
through to Sancho, yeah.
And he should have passed it to Elanga, but he could have still gotten it to Sancho, mind you. It would have been the wrong option, but he didn't even get the pass off. Really frustrating. Times where it's just, I just get too frustrated watching him. It's not enjoyable to watch Bruno Fernandes. I'll be real with you. Again, the 6.5 and Des says 4. Honestly, I'm interested to hear what James says. I don't think that's a crazy score. I don't. I don't think. I'm being kind to him. Because
Yeah.
we have a win. So I think I'll give him a 6.5. James, what would you give him?
I think I'm leaning closer towards what Des said. I think this us
Mm,
for his first 18 months, I was Bruno Fernandes' biggest fan. I was one of those
yeah.
shameless people comparing him to De Bruyne. But game by game now, you're sort of starting to realise. Other than listen, he's fantastic at popping up in the right place and scoring in the box. He's great at that. It's what he's done. He can hit a long shot every now and then as well. But outside of that, I'm starting to struggle to come to terms with what he actually offers. He'll try a risky ball. Don't get me wrong; they never come off. They're never very accurate.
Right.
He can't. Simply refuses to play short passing. He has to be. He has to be the one spreading the play, doing these Hollywood passes. He's not quick. He's not good at dribbling. He's not physical at all. I just listen. I still love the bloke. Don't get me wrong. He's a United player. I'll never actively slander him. But other than the goal today, like today was the perfect summation of what he's done the last 12 months. Very poor performance, at times a hindrance to United, but was got into the right place at the right time, and his finish was incredible, and we won the game because of him. So
You're right.
I'll give him a 5 purely because in reality he won us a game,
Mm,
but it wasn't a good performance at all.
yeah.
I think he's second worst to Scott if you take away
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah. No, that's fair. What did I give? Did I give Malasia a 6? Yeah, I gave him a 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm gonna drop it to a 6. I'm gonna drop it to a 6 because I gave Malasia a 6, and you're right. I don't think Bruno was better than Malasia. So yeah, no. James has finally seen the light about Bruno. We thank you, God. We have come far. What took you so long? So funny. Listen, again, he's a player that frustrates, but you know, when he scored that goal, I was ecstatic. Palace is beating City. Did I read that right? Did I read that
Yeah, they're winning
correctly?
1-0.
You see, I just knew Liverpool up 2-0. No shock, no shocker there. Yeah, wow. Crystal Palace, by the way. Um, we'll save that for another day. We'll save that for another day on our Premier League review. Guys. So next week, for everyone watching, I'm gonna be out of pocket. I'm going to Las Vegas for work. So so I will not be making as many videos as I have been over the past couple of weeks. So I'll do my best. I'm gonna bring my equipment, but the chances of me being hungover every night are extremely high. I'm just gonna say that. So bear with me next week. Okay, we'll go to Anthony Alanga. I'm gonna give him a. I'm gonna give him a 6. I'm gonna give him a 6. Again, defensively, he did his job well. He worked hard as always. Going forward, though, in that first half specifically, I felt really frustrated by him and Rashford, and we'll talk about Rashford here in a second. They struggled to. They really struggled. The physicality of the game was just overwhelming for him. Right, he was just physically overwhelmed by Gineppo, um, and it was very plain and evident to see. I do still think he does offer value to the side. In the second half, I think he was the one who kind of jolted us going forward. I thought he provided that little bit of a spark. There was that interplay he had with was it Rashford, right? Where he got in on goal and probably should have taken a shot quicker. And then it just kind of the play kind of died. Don't get me started with Ilanga. That is the worst Swedish black ball I have ever seen. You're ridiculous. -3. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 6. 6 was integral to the build-up. He's the one who started it off. And yeah, no, I just gotta give him his little credit for that. So, what are your thoughts, James?
I'll go with a 5, maybe five
Mm,
and a half,
mm,
because I think I'll start with the negatives and then move to the positives. I think he is not a good footballer.
mm,
He's a homegrown Dan James in that he's very quick. He
mm.
works very hard, attacking and defensively, and he will get you maybe 10 goal involvements in a season if he plays every game. But that's sort of where it ends. Oh, and his movement is very good as well off the ball. We saw that especially with the chance he created. He's very good off the ball. That's one of his big skills. It's a shame he has no real ability on the ball other than being quick. But yeah, I think strengths. He was probably played on the wrong wing today as well. I think he could have made more out of Kyle Walker-Peters than Sancho did, and Sancho definitely could have made more of Gineppo than Elanga did. You know, Sancho's ability to go either way would have really struggled with Gineppo would have really struggled with him, especially linking up with Dallo as well. But yeah, Elanga a 5. I think he can contribute to when United are attacking, certainly more than other players. But again, it's that same thought of realistically, if he was in Chelsea's academy, would he be in the first team by now? If he was in Arsenal's academy, would he be in the first team by now? I think we're just that limited for options that we've sacrificed him going out on a loan that would have really helped him by us having to play him. Although we don't have to play him. We have Ahmad, who's incredible on the ball, but you know, less said about that the better, because I think it makes a lot of people angry, understandably so. But yeah, a 5 because he showed glimpses that off the ball he's great. Defensively he was very good as well, very important. But that's about where the positives stop there. Are you muted?
I wonder what it is about Ahmad that he clearly didn't impress Rangnick. He didn't impress Solskjaer. And he's looking like he's not impressing Ten Hag, because he's not even on the bench. Was he on the bench today?
No,
I don't think
Garnacho
so.
was, but he wasn't.
Garnacho was, exactly. So like Garnacho's getting on the bench. How much did Diallo cost us again? 30 million euros?
I think it was like 20, but it can rise to 40 if he actually plays a game, which it doesn't look like he's going to do.
Right. So it's just like what are we doing with that? It's very confusing to me. I listen. He had an interesting loan spell, right? I think people overhyped it. I don't think he had a very good loan spell in the Scottish League, right? He wasn't starting week in, week out. He couldn't get into that side regularly. So the chances of getting into the United side, slim to none. Garnacho is the one who is the young player who's breaking out and seems like he's going to be getting game time at some point here. If we win, if we get up 3-0, I think Garnacho's going to come on. Like, that's the type of vibe I'm getting from Ten Hag there. But yeah, no, I completely understand your thoughts on Elanga. I do think I think he's a value add to the squad because he does do, like, he's not a good football. He's not technically gifted, right? But I think that he has that, what's the word I'm looking for? He has the basics down. And that sounds really bad to say, like, for a professional footballer, but like, he has pace, he has electric pace. He helps out his fullback, and he makes good runs in behind, right? So those 3 things you can check off the box. When Rashford's playing poorly, I don't know what to do with Rashford. I don't. And we'll talk about Rashford right now. I thought Rashford was McTominay yesterday. I'm going to give him a 5. Non-existent, right? Non-existent to me. Like, what did he do today? So realistically, what did he actually do today? I think he played in the ball for Elanga, for Elanga's first opportunity in the second.
That was Bruno.
Was that Bruno? Was that Bruno?
Yeah, it was Bruno.
Okay, so I gave him credit where he didn't even deserve it. Like no, like, he's just, as a center forward, and mind you, this is not his fault. We're struggling for options at center forward, but he is a terrible center forward. Like, if you can't hold the ball up as a center forward, I just don't know I don't know what to do with you. Like, genuinely, like, you have the Aubameyangs, right, who can play through the middle. They're not great at holding up the ball, but at least he's good in tight spaces, right? Like, if you get Aubameyang in tight spaces, he can wriggle his way out of it. Rashford can't even do that, right? So I might be even being kind by giving him a 5. Like, I'm leaning towards like 4.5. The more I'm talking, like, she's just not a good enough footballer for Manchester United. And I try to give him his chances, and I get excited, and then I just get reminded, like, this guy's not it. I'm sorry. 4.5.
No. Yeah, I'd probably say I can't remember what I gave to Scott. Was that a 4? Because I'll give him the same, because I think, like you said, he's not a striker. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He thrives. He's at his best when he's against a high line, when United are counter-attacking, and he's not. He cannot possibly fit in Ten Hag's system the way he currently plays. That's mental. That's a bit off-putting, the fact that City are
down
completely caving. But yeah, does that? No, we'll be 1 point behind City as it stands, which is pretty mental.
Insane.
But yeah, Rashford went missing against there. He's not. He offers very little when you're playing against the defense, rather than getting in behind it.
Right.
It didn't seem to show for the ball that much. It didn't. Again, he was probably isolated. Both wingers were very wide. Bruno was Bruno. He wasn't really offering much support. So
Right.
I sort of say that in his favour, but that's about as much credit as I'm giving him. He was really poor, and I think I am struggling to see where. Say we get an Anthony in, I don't think Rashford is
No, he's
going to
not
be
starting.
I think Ten Hag is looking for an excuse to not start Rashford at this point.
Yeah, and Ericsson and Martinez specifically, I think they at some point, at one point, they just stopped trying to play that ball into feet. Right. In the first half, there's a couple moments. I remember Martinez whipping a nice ball into Rashford, just gets just it was either Bella Kotchap or Salisu just it's not even difficult for them to nick the ball off of him, right? If that's Martial, right, he's gonna get the ball to feet. He can hold. He's strong enough to hold those defenders off, and he's gonna at a minimum lay it off to Sancho, or at a minimum get the ball back and retain the ball. Like, and that's what I keep on telling people about the Martial and Rashford difference, and why it's so drastically in Martial's favor is because of that, right? Like, there's no other striker we have. Even Cristiano Ronaldo at this point can't hold the ball up like the way Martial can, right? And we missed him desperately. We need to get another striker. Like, I wasn't thinking we needed to get another striker, but unfortunately, my guy Tony can't stay healthy, right? So we need to figure something out, because if we're gonna draw a lot of games like where we should win because of the forwards, right? I think we'll defend well, but you can only. I'm not expecting this defense to keep a bunch of clean sheets, even though, mind you, Martinez and Varane look like who knows how potentially great that partnership could be. Again, Varane, another injury prone player. I don't think he's going to get through this season, 38 games this season like that. When does that happen last for Varane? So it's a weird one, man. It's a really weird one. Am I missing? Oh, Jadon Sancho. What would you give him?
5.5, I want to say, maybe a 6. I think incredibly isolated. That's why I said he should have been played on the right, because you isolate Jadon Sancho, there's nothing he can do. He's so good with a fullback that he can connect with. You saw that at Dortmund when he had Hakimi behind him, and I think Deleu's nowhere near Hakimi's level, but he's something. He offered more going forward than Malacia did, which would have been so important for Jadon Sancho.
Right.
You know, the amount of times where Sancho would try and break forward, he's great on the ball, don't get me wrong, but he'd be surrounded by 3 Southampton players,
Right.
and the closest United player was 20 yards away. It's just, I can't fault his performance other than maybe trying to get himself involved a bit closer to the middle. You know, it wasn't his fault necessarily that he played bad, but he simply didn't make an impact on the game at all, I don't feel. So I think it'd be unfair to give him more than a 5.5.
I'm torn. I want to give him a 6 because a lot of the reasons you mentioned. Like, he was the only forward that even halfway looked like he could create something. Like you mentioned, Malacia wasn't helping him. Rashford wasn't making that run in behind that I was expecting him to make. Granted, he had a lot. It was a lot more. The shop was a lot more closed up than on Monday. But yeah, no, it's. I'm giving him a 6 because I feel like if he wasn't the focal point, right? I don't think Jadon Sancho should ever be a focal point of an attack. I think he should be kind of like icing. I think he kind of, again, I think he defended well too. Like, that's why I'm gonna give him another tick. Like, he tracks back. Yeah, another thing that he's not a good defender, but he tracks back and he helps his fullback out, right? Which is another thing I want to give him credit for. Like, yes, he didn't really impact the game the way you would want Jadon Sancho to impact the game. But that being said, like, I just can't give him a below a 6 because I think that so many factors were just against him. So many factors were against him. He's a good player, man, and I really hope that really hope that he can kick on this season. I think if we do get another wide player, I think if we do get a Anthony and then we get a striker, whoever that striker may be, right? It will really help him out. It will really, really help him out. I just think that he's just by far the best. He's by far the best striker we have, or the best front player we have that's starting for us right now. If Martial comes in, then it becomes more interesting. But again, Martial's just not fit, so I can't talk about him. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a 6. Guys, what are your thoughts on Jadon Sancho's performance? What's up, my guy Eddie? Yeah, no, it's a weird one. And then the subs, who came on first?
Just Ronaldo, Casemiro, and Fred, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they kind of came on at weird times. I don't even know what scores I would. Casemiro, what would you give him? I think he came on. Who came on first?
It was Ronaldo, wasn't it?
It was
First.
Ronaldo who came on first. 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit like De Gea. I completely respect what Ronaldo's done, but I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he offers what he once did. But in this game, the idea to bring him on from Ten Hag was really good, and he did the job that he needed to do. Obviously, we saw when he tried to run in behind, he doesn't quite have that pace, and that was maybe a little bit frustrating. But you can't help that anymore. But you have to play long balls against Southampton. We saw against Brentford, you can't play out against them, and Ronaldo won a ridiculous amount of headers.
He did
against 2 very tall centre backs as well.
Right.
I think the fact that he was so isolated up top, a bit like Sancho, was to his detriment. It wasn't his fault, but it affected him negatively. And that how many knockdowns did he win that would just go straight to a Southampton player because every other United player was in their own half? It was so frustrating.
Right.
I have to give him credit. He did exactly what he needed to do. He was an outlet at the end of the day when we were under a lot of pressure. So 6, I'd probably agree with, because he didn't do anything that blew me away, but did exactly what he needed to do.
Right. Now, I agree. I think that it's weird to say we're asking Ronaldo to do a job, right? It just kind of feels weird because we just know him for being the great player that he was. I don't think he's a great player anymore, to be quite honest with you. But it's a weird one. Obviously, there was the last play of the game was a very interesting one for me. He wins the ball, right, and then we're driving forward. He has options around him, and he just kind of just muffed it. I don't even know how to explain that play. It was just so weird. It was just so weird, and it kind of made me feel like this guy he's not really busting yet again, I want to emphasize he did work hard in terms of winning those balls in the air, but going forward, it was just like he just seemed disinterested, to be quite honest with you. It was
I think I know what you mean, though. It was when he tried to play Fernandez in, and it was like his foot just went limp, wasn't it? He just didn't really do anything. It was a bit frustrating, but take nothing away from him at all.
100%. Next up was Casemiro.
Again, I'd say a 6 again. Yeah. I thought he was very, very good when he came on in the little bits that we got. I think defensively, we saw he's monstrous. There was one pass that he made in particular as well, where he fizzed it in between about 3 Southampton players straight to Rashford's feet, and that sort of caught me off guard a little bit. A centre midfielder playing a competent pass is something you don't really see at United, so that was nice. But again, didn't have enough time to make an impact, but did well in what he could have done. So I'd say a 6.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I give him a 6 as well. He's better on the ball than McTominay, right? That's going to be I know people are like, oh, he's not the fix, or I saw a lot of people when we signed him saying, it's good, but like, no, you guys need to understand that the difference between McTominay and Casemiro is like the difference between like LeBron James and like a 10-year-old in AAU. Like that's how drastically different it is. Like it's so. Gallagher got a red 27 minutes in. Wow. Dang, I really hope Conor Gallagher kicks on, man. I really hope so, because I think he's absolute quality. Anyway, weird. I wish I was watching. I should have just had my games on like in the back like I normally do, but it's all good. Seems like a lot's going on. But yeah, no, I just think that Casemiro is just so once he gets into that midfield, we're gonna have that steal. The way we have steal with Martinez now, we're gonna have that steal, like that true steal with quality. Like I should say steal, because McTominay has steal, Fred has steal. It's just the quality is just not it's not up to standard. It's just not up to standard. But yeah, no, really excited for him. And then who else was it? Fred. I'll give Fred. How long did he? It was not even long enough to warrant a
Yeah, no,
score.
just a
Yeah,
5 by default, I think.
right. And then Eric Ten Hag. I know we're over an hour. Let's we'll wrap up here soon. Eric Ten Hag. What would you give him?
I'll give him a 6. I think
Mm,
he approached the game right. Southampton are a difficult opponent, but he tried to play on the front foot, especially in the first half.
yeah.
Did the right thing in like sitting off once the
Mm,
goal went in. And I think maybe could have made the subs sooner, but the subs he did make were the right ones, and you could
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
the reasons why he made them. So I give him a 6, 6.5, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna go 6.5. I think that yes, the subs were a little late for me. I was kind of like, come on, make a sub, make a change, like yelling at the TV. But like you mentioned, the right sub at the right time. I think that he recognized where the game was going, and he didn't force his way of thinking or his philosophy. You could tell, okay, he's like Southampton's kind of growing into this game. I could be more aggressive, or I could be more pragmatic. And I think he chose the right option, which was to be more pragmatic. A lot of fans may not like that, but sometimes, listen, pragmatism wins football matches. If you must know, like fans, I want you to know that most look at the Champions League final last season, right? Liverpool, Madrid, right? Madrid, the far more pragmatic side, and won, and they beat PSG and they beat Man City on the way to that Champions League. Like pragmatism wins you football matches, so it's not a. I know fans want the pep style, they want the but sometimes you just have to do what you need to do.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he's making the best of a bad situation with the group players he's got as well. I think
right,
Ten Hag, if Ten Hag's still here in 3 years, we're not going to see that same performance, are we? We're going to be
right.
It's going to be sort of City levels of controlling the game with
Yeah,
players that are able to do so. So I think, frustrating as it is watching your side play defensive football, you have to give him
yeah,
time. He's
yeah.
been allowed to bring in, what is it, 4 players so far.
Right,
It's not going to happen overnight at all.
right. Yeah, man. Like we said, I think me and James both gave Martinez man of the match. Fun performance, fun. Thank you guys so much for hopping in the comments. It was really fun, really enjoyable. It's great when you guys get in the comments with me. I'm one subscriber away from 300. So guys, show me some love. Please show me some love. It's been a great time with my guy James. His information is in the description. So make sure to show him some love, guys, and make sure to follow him and support him as well. He's going to be the next Samuel Luckhurst. Stay tuned, guys. So I got the next Samuel Luckhurst on my channel early on. I'm just letting you know real quick. So
Big
make sure to show my boy
expectations
some
there. It's a
love.
lot of pressure.
Show my boy some love, man. But guys, appreciate it. And we will talk very, very shortly. Okay, deuces.